Well, it's been a rather hectic few days, rustling up some of my winter ideas. Update number one of Winter Thoughts has been published on marfoganweather.com, the website, and here on YouTube. Not one, but two videos yesterday doing a little bit of in depth explanation with regards to some of the climatic drivers that we look at when it comes to building the winter forecast. So, as always, if you haven't already done so, be sure to check that out. There is a lot of content both on the website and on here on YouTube for you to look at. If you're interested in meteorology and the bigger picture, of course, be sure to subscribe to marfoganweather.com here on YouTube as well. I certainly try to cover as much as I possibly can. So we have got a big divide in temperature at the moment here as of recording at 20 past 5 in the evening. We've only got 10, 11 Celsius and through the central and southern portions of Scotland, thanks to a band of heavy persistent rain that has been lingering through much of the day. As you can see here on radar, some very, very nasty conditions right the way through the central belt, right on rush hour, so I'm sure that's going to be affecting your travel home if you happen to be stuck under that band. To the north, it's a kind of showers. Further south, it is pretty much sunshine, and those temperatures are responding 24, 25 Celsius. And we should see that during the course of tomorrow as well across the southeast. Big contrast, like I say, north to south across the UK at this moment in time. So we remain in a very complex weather pattern at the moment. Of course, we've not got one but two tropical cyclones to talk about. Margot has now weakened to a tropical storm, as you can see here over the central Atlantic. We've got Lee, now an 80-mile-an-hour hurricane. Pressure has risen slightly to 962 millibars, moving at 18 miles an hour in a north to northeasterly direction. So you can see here with the track expected by the National Hurricane Centre, it is expected to move between Maine and Nova Scotia, probably making a landfall either far eastern portions of Nova Scotia, not the western portions, or indeed New Brunswick. Sometime during tomorrow afternoon, it looks like here. But it looks as if the National Hurricane Centre still has this as a hurricane literally due east over the next 24 hours or so, to the east of Massachusetts and Long Island, and it will be making that kind of general north to slightly northeast track all the way up to landfall here. But it's looking at the big picture here, folks, that it's a complex situation here, and you look at the latest run of the GFS, you can see what's going on here. It looks as if the remainder of September is going to be fairly unsettled, and a lot of complexity in terms of what air mass we're dealing with, because we've got a lot of low pressure. It looks like in the forecast we could have some quite wet and windy conditions at times here with this type of situation unfolding. If we go back to the current situation, you can see that we've got, of course, the two main standouts. Lee moving up towards eastern portions of Maine, western portions of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. That is going to be the story over the next few days before it takes that turn into the North Atlantic. We've got Margot here stuck between quite a strong area of high pressure that is quite northerly displaced here. If you notice, it's quite north of the Azores. Now, as we play through the latest run of the GFS, you can see here, up goes Lee, it makes landfall. There's that big deep area of low pressure to the east of southeast Greenland here. Quite a deep feature, this, but it's actually doing a work on that area of high pressure to the south. It's weakening it, as you can see here, especially across the north and then the west side of the area of low pressure. We've also got a brief visit of high pressure over the northern half of the British Isles. So again, fairly chilly by nighttime. A couple of days ago, minus 2.7 at Altnahara. That is the coldest temperature anywhere in the UK since, I believe, May, if not even April. I think certainly for Altnahara's location, it's the coldest temperature since late April, with that minus 2.7. Of course, we did, I think it was the 2nd of June, if I'm right in saying, we had minus 2.6 at Kinbrace. So we're getting there. It is starting to feel autumnal, as well, more so across the north of the UK, not so much across the south. But as we play through this loop here, folks, what you notice here is something that we're seeing this area of low pressure moving towards the northern half of the UK. It looks as if it's going to make an impact on our weather as we push towards the early and middle portion of the week. There's Lee, there's Margot moving around that west flank of that area of high pressure. As you can see here, there's a new kid on the block across the tropical Atlantic, as you can see here. But notice how far north they are. It's the displacement of very warm waters compared to average further north that is kind of given these systems that typically would be, weakening, they're actually maintaining strength because of the distortion of the pattern. Joe Bastardi has made quite a lot of reference to this about the distortion of the pattern, unusually warm waters, unusually far north, and that is affecting the entire wind circulation across, the majority of the North Atlantic. But notice here that this is by the time we reach Monday of next week here, we've got that system that is currently just off the Greenland coast. Looks as if it's going to try and push across the British Isles at 974 millibars. So that's a noteworthy deep area of low pressure. And of course, we need to take into consideration the amount of fuel that we've got in those waters around the UK and Ireland, energizing not only the jet stream, but these systems themselves. And we need to watch this because we could have some very significant areas of low pressure this autumn season as we go forward, and the atmosphere naturally starts to cool and responds with that unusually warm water underneath here. So you can see here what's going on. Lee becomes a weakened feature here. The main primary area of low pressure target in the UK is moving across the top during the course of, according to this latest run of the GFS anyway. By the time we reach Tuesday of next week, late Monday into Tuesday, we could have some pretty strong winds associated with that. More heavy precipitation to speak about as well. You notice that Margot remains trapped over the North Atlantic here, and it looks as if it's not going to go anywhere as we go forward. But notice something here. High pressure is starting to build over the North Atlantic, and we're starting to see with the exiting of that deep low, we are going to pull in some colder air from the north here. And remember what I said to you, the negative NAO pattern, the type of pattern that we've got, could enhance that negative NAO and bring quite a disturbed second half to September for the UK, but also some unusually cool conditions as well. We're keeping an eye on this system here. As that continues to track north, it's driving more heat northwards towards the mid latitudes and the high latitudes as well. We need to watch for some sort of a high latitude blocking pattern maybe developing into the month of October, for example, with this type of situation. So lots of interesting things going on at the moment here. If we look at the 850 temperature profile of the same model, you can see here the fairly chilly air across the north versus fairly milder across the south. Now 26, 27 is indeed possible across the southeast during the course of tomorrow, while we're stuck in low teens once again across the north here. And you can see the complexity in the pattern just based on this 850 chart. Look at, there's the ex-Hurricane Margot here, plenty of warm, juicy air getting lifted north, but we've also got around this area of high pressure. So that's that 1035, 1038 millibar area of high pressure just the northeast of the system. It's dragging in colder air from the north on the north and east flank of that area of low pressure. And that's increasing the dynamics, the complexity of the pattern. The jet stream is getting forced north, it's getting forced south. It's getting forced south to the west of the UK and Ireland here, to the west of Iberia, and it's drawing up some very warm air out of Africa, the western Mediterranean, all the way up into the southeast UK. Hence why we've got low teens versus mid to high 20s across the UK landmass here. So a very, very interesting but very complicated situation here. We've got essentially 850s close to zero over the northwest of the UK versus 10, 12, close to 15 Celsius across the southern half of the UK. That is a big contrast at 5,000 feet above our heads here. So, and hence why we've got plenty of rainfall in the mix as well here. But as we play through this sequence, there's that warm air continuing to try and push north. We've got cold air trying to drift south over the UK. We've got an area of low pressure here just to the west of Iberia. We've got that deep area of low pressure which I showed you a second ago, just to the southeast of Greenland. That looks like a wind and rainmaker late Monday into Tuesday of next week here. Keep our eyes close on that here. It's drawn some fairly colder off Greenland, as you can see here. Milder, trying to lift north as this system tries to then kind of barrel towards our shores by the time we reach later Monday and into Tuesday here. So, very interesting situation evolving here. You notice this milder air getting lifted north in the presence of this low pressure moving southeastwards here. It's kind of drawn this warmth out of the south northwards here, and then eventually what will happen is it's a bit of a slap in the face across the southeast, where temperatures have been well above average throughout the majority of September. Looks as if we've got some colder polar maritime air coming in to replace that warmth. How quickly that chilly polar maritime air comes in remains to be seen, of course. You can see here some fairly chilly air across the UK, certainly not particularly warm temperatures with this type of situation here as we go forward here. And then there's that cold air that I showed you a second ago trying to come down from the north, and that is some fairly noteworthy chilly air, by the way. And this is, of course, towards the end of next week here. So looking at the NAO pattern, you can see what it's showing with regards to the latest run of the GFS ensemble. And you can see here that it is going fairly negative. Look at this here, at -2 sigma below the average here nearly. So that is a fairly deep negative. And to me, that is a direct response to the tropics. Warm air getting lifted north, interacting with the jet stream, kind of throwing things out of whack. When you draw warm air, tropical air, up against polar air, you've got low pressures then deepening in between. You've got a very, very interesting but very, very difficult forecasting platform to work with, certainly with this situation. So certainly very interesting times to come here on marfoganweather.com. We will look at this in great detail. We've got the winter to look at. We've got the rest of the autumn to look at. Yeah, there's plenty of reason to stick around here on marfoganweather.com if you like weather, if you want to know more about the, what goes in to why we get the things that we get. And of course, we'll look at the rest of Europe and indeed the world as well. Global weather and climate report coming up this upcoming Sunday. We will look at the big picture, so stay tuned for that. No video tomorrow. I will take tomorrow off. I did work on last Saturday, so I think I'm entitled to a break. It has been a pretty long week. It has been a busy week, but plenty of reason for you to check out marfoganweather.com. Check out the winter thoughts from yesterday. I will hopefully be back with update number 2, probably sometime around mid-October. And then the overall winter forecast will probably be released sometime late November. I am taking a holiday. I will be visiting Japan in the month of November. So it's going to be a pretty busy month, actually, with regards to the winter forecast, going on holiday and whatnot. But certainly, I'll keep you up to date as best I can. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll be back again on Sunday with the Global Weather Report. Bye for now.